Podcast where we highlight and discuss the current independent professional wrestling scene. This week, we're going to be discussing AEW's epic 18th anniversary. Did I say AAW or AEW?
Somewhere in the middle.
Let me take that clean. AAW's epic 18th anniversary, what we enjoyed from Black Label Pros in the fights. We'll also preview the upcoming absolutely bonkers Mania weekend. And to wrap things up, we are going to do a fantasy draft to determine our dream Ring of Honor roster for the reboot. My name is Jake. Joining me is my co-host, Mitch. Mitch, how's it going, buddy?
Very eventful week, and a very eventful week coming up as well. So I enjoyed my 2-day moment of peace.
Dude, I didn't really get that. I have to work half days on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I got off work, we went furniture shopping. Which is a nightmare right now. I had thought I was a pretty chill person until we started like actually looking at furniture shopping. Dude, we purchased a sectional like 9-10 months ago at this point.
Yeah.
And they kept pushing it back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we have this part in, but we don't have that. Do you want the ottoman? Do you want the chase? Do you want the middle part? But they didn't have all the parts in at the same time. Dude, beyond frustrating. So eventually we just got our money back. And it's heartbreaking because like I grew up like a really poor kid. And so the idea of having a sectional in a basement, I'm like, that's as rich as you can get. Like that's the dream. It's been brutal just trying to find anything that's been in stock. Because like anything else, there's like shortages everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, we had to drive to another state. And we finally found a decently priced like sectional. Dude, they had a sectional that was $6,000.
I feel very poor now.
Right? I like looked at it, I'm like, that's a lot of mortgage payments.
Was totally in stock. You get to have it. The one you bought?
Yeah, but no, we ended up going for one that was like literally a third of that price. But it was like we walked in and the first option was like $6,500 and not including like an ottoman or anything like that. So yeah, next weekend, I'm going to have new furniture just in time for Mania weekend. Now I just got to get my snack situation figured out. Have you put any thought into that? What the meal prep and food situation?
Not enough, because once it starts, I mean, there's no time to leave the house. I don't know how I'm fitting the rest of my life in next weekend, but thankfully, it only happens once a year.
Well, we'll get to that. I kind of don't want it to. I think there's possibility for them to branch out and do multiple weekends a year. But yeah, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Also, the other thing I wanted to talk about. So I've got a new computer and a new headset. So for those of you who listened to the first 2 episodes and were like, what's up with that dumb clicking? That's fixed. So hopefully this is a lot more smooth to listen to. Now we just got to do our part and be more entertaining. All right. What do you want to get into first?
Let's start with AAW. It's been a while since match show's been out for like a week now, so it's not super fresh in my mind, but let's burn through that one first.
So starting off, what's your like history with AAW? Or do
Spotty.
you even have one at all?
Spotty. I've seen a couple shows here or there, but no real long-term history with it.
This was the first independent promotion I went to. It just happened kind of like on a lark. I was up in Chicago and they had an indie show. I can't even remember who was on the first card, but I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go. It was in like this like Eagles Club, which is, they have kind of come back to run there now, but it's the Berwyn Eagles Club. And it's just super small building. I really, really liked it. And then I ended up taking my brother, who got into WWE at the time because he was like 10 or 11. So he's like, yeah, wrestling's awesome. I was like, well, let me take you up to this indie. And it was during Joe's return to the independents before he eventually signed with WWE. That's where we met him. What was her indie name? She's Ruby Soho now, but she was
Heidi Lovelace.
Lovelace. We got to talk with her outside. We got there like super early because we had to drive to the show. And so we got to meet the majority of the wrestlers. They would just walk by and like talk to us while we're watching like bootleg New Japan DVDs in the back of my car. It was a good time, dude. And then if you're not familiar with AAW, this is going somewhere, I promise. So for those of you not familiar with AAW, if you go to YouTube and go to AAW Pro, they have probably one of their best shows ever, which is the Windy City Classic from 2015. It's got matches like the first ever meeting between Pentagon Jr. and Chris Hero, a very early Phoenix against Tommaso Ciampa. Like I talked about last week, an AAW champion Ethan Page versus like Trevor Lee and someone else. I can't remember. But fun fact, I didn't know this at the time when I bought my ticket. I'm second row, camera side. So there you go.
So you're on there.
I'm on there. I'm on the whole show. And I wish I knew that ahead of time. I probably would have wore something better than a beanie and a gray hoodie. But anyway, that was, like I said, that's been almost 10 years ago. Oh my God, dude, I'm getting old. So anyway, so I've gone up and seen AAW multiple times. It's kind of my favorite local-ish promotion. And so the fact that they're doing their 18th anniversary is like super bonkers. And we start the show off with someone who was like, not like an original, but had like a really good run throughout that 18 years, which is Shane Hollister, who defeated Stephen Wolf.
Oh, good opener. I liked it. The wily vet versus the young gun story, done decent enough. Yeah, started the show off well for me.
I was impressed by Hollister. I was kind of worried. Like I'm not sure, like, AAW has been kind of on the back burner for me. I had no idea, kind of what his return would be like, especially in a big spot like this. But I was really impressed with it. Next guy, definite veteran to AAW in the Chicago scene, Silas Young defeated Conan Lycan. Yeah, it's going to be a long night already. Really fun match. Silas, if you've seen one Silas match, you've seen most of them. That's not a knock against him. It's just he's very consistent. Kind of like what I said last week about Mike Bennett. He is like exactly what you want from a veteran in your mid card. He's going to keep guys safe. Everything he does looks good. There's a flow to everything. It's good to see him getting some more shine, especially on their 18th anniversary show.
Yeah, like I said, it was a typical Silas Young match, but that's a compliment. I enjoy most of his matches, so if I go in expecting that and I get it, I'm usually a pretty happy guy.
So what did you think of Coney Lycan, as I like to call him, apparently?
Hard to say so far. I mean, I want to see more of him before I rush to judgment on him either way.
I was gonna say I don't really have necessarily a good feel, so I was hoping you could
no he was
give me some insight on that, because I was like, he's fine.
He's a new face to me, and yeah, off one match, and I mean, Silas Young matches are good, but they're not exactly high work rate matches or anything. So I don't know what to make of Coney Lycan yet. But I'll definitely check him out again. Just I don't really have an opinion one way or the other at this point.
And then the floor is going to be yours for Sierra versus Vert Vixen. I had no strong feelings.
So this was a really interesting one for me on the Vert Vixen side, because Vert was part of kind of that Mission Pro group with Thunder Rosa that she brought in to do the dark tapings before Rosa even had her Jacksonville contract. And a lot of the chatter was that Vert Vixen was kind of the one to watch out of the group. And for a long time, I was not seeing it. I thought, I mean, Jasmine was very new. I thought her and Maddie Rankowski both looked significantly better, so I wasn't sure what the hype was about with Vert Vixen, but I did enjoy this match. It was probably my favorite match of hers that I've seen so far, including her stuff in Mission Pro. Sierra's good, so I enjoyed that, but that was the really interesting story for me. This is the first time I felt like I got where the hype for Vert Vixen was coming from. Not that she was a finished product, or not that she was going to be, the next big thing, but just that she was a solid worker who could go and was worth watching. And this was the match that kind of opened my eyes that she can be a good worker. So I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I'm like I've talked to you before, like I've said on the show before, I don't really have the eye for women's wrestling. I didn't hate what I saw. I didn't see that. So the fact that there's that much buzz around Vixen is really interesting to me. I'll have to look for more of her stuff because I've seen her before. Like I recognized her. I recognized the look. She definitely seems major league.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I mean, buzz might be a strong word. I mean, there was a pretty clear group of girls that Rosa had brought in, and within those girls, the one that everyone was saying to keep their eye out for was Ver Vixen. So it's not like when some of the other dark people have showed up and it's been like, oh my gosh, why isn't this person signed? Like she doesn't have that Willow Nightingale kind of buzz. But
the AEW dark shows those are impossible shows to gain any idea of like a scouting report overall, because it's basically like this person's already in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see their current gear and you maybe get to see how well they take people's finishers. And that's it.
Yeah, the curve seems to have changed now that they're doing monthly tapings at Orlando and touring again. But during the tapings where they are all local, and I mean, this is relatively important considering it was almost all independent wrestlers on it. So it's important for the industry. But there was a really big pattern. They would show up their first 2 matches. They would just get the absolute snot beat out of them. You wouldn't see anything. Third match, you'd see a little. And if they got through it was usually 5 match tryouts. Their 4th and 5th, they got to do a little bit more and you could see some offense. And it was pretty consistent across the board for that pattern with a lot of the dark talent, which for independent guys, I mean, they got 5 paydays in a row, so that's never bad, but you had to make it to 4 or 5 to really be able to promote. And I mean, yourself.
that is where guys like Moriarty and Garcia got basically signed from, right?
Absolutely. There were Will Hobbs
too. Yeah. See, I'm so spotty on the YouTube shows, so it's just
he was like the same trajectory. His first match, he got knocked out by Orange Cassidy in about 20 seconds.
Right. Someone who I am shocked has not been signed to a major league deal. Fred Yehi defeated Gnarls Garvin in what was an awesome match from what I saw. So the big knock on this show is that the feed on Fight cut out entirely.
Oh,
so no. Yeah, I don't know if you got to see it, if they updated the feed.
I did get to see this match. Yeah.
Shit, man. That bugs me because like I was like, I was in like 4.25, 4.5 territory because I absolutely loved this match.
It finished strong too. I forget what the actual ending was, but top to bottom, I think this or the 4-way were my 2 matches of the show.
Okay. Gnarls Garvin was like sitting on the apron facing the crowd. And Fred Yehi did like a crossbody dive through the middle rope that like it looked absolutely brutal. And then my feed cut out entirely. So
yeah, I don't remember how much longer the match went on after that, but it was
bummer. I guess I'll have to check that out.
It was good. Fred Yehi is someone who has been on my radar for a long time and continues to impress.
Oh yeah. So you're going to have to walk me through Manders versus Rin Jones because I didn't see a minute of it.
Honestly, there wasn't much to it. For me, it was kind of the cool down between these 2 matches. It was fine, but there's nothing to write home about it. It was just a match after, especially coming off Yehi and going into the 4-way. It was there. I wouldn't be advising you to go super far out of your way to watch it unless you just happen to leave it on after Yehi, but
sure.
Nothing wrong with it.
Well, my feed did come on just in time for Myron Reed to defeat Braden Lee, Jake Something, and Gringo Loco. This match was a blast.
Did you get the whole match then, or?
I did.
Oh, good, good.
Because this was the one that I had circled for the show. It was like, I'm a big Myron Reed guy.
Yep.
Big Jake Something guy. Best first name in the business. Just got to say. Gringo Loco. I'm not sold on him yet.
He'll win you over.
I don't hate his matches, but at the same time, I'm just like, I get why people like him. It's not there for me, but I don't think it's there for me yet.
Yeah.
I'm not like set in stone, like, I'm not a fan. I think the more that I see him, I will. It's just kind of overexposure right now. This upcoming weekend's going to do that.
Yep.
But yeah, the actual match itself, there are some spots, and it's like this in any multi-person match where there's people just kind of waiting to get their spot in. It felt like it really took a while for this match to get going, but when it did, it was an absolute blast. And it was a showcase for all four guys to really show what they can do. And I think the future is bright for all four guys in this promotion.
Absolutely. I was really happy to see Myron Reed pick up the win. It's still very interesting with Jake Something's trajectory right now, knowing he just got out of his, or just finished up his Impact contract. It's excited for Myron to win. Braden Lee really impressed me in the match. I'm excited to keep watching him. I don't know if I go as far to say this was my match of the night just because Yehai was so impressive, but this would be an easy like 2A or 1A, 1B.
Oh, for sure.
The one that would be just under. Yeah.
That'd be 1B. Yeah.
1B. Yeah, that makes more sense.
You're good. You're good. After this was just really.
Yeah. I think the next.
Ace, oh, go ahead.
Next two matches. The second one wasn't even really a match.
I'm not really a big Ace Perry guy. I get why a local Chicago indie would book him. I think if I were a booker, I would put him somewhere on my card as well. He's a decent enough talker, gets enough heat. There's something there. But for him to get two segments in a row was pretty rough. Thankfully, him defeating Levi Everett was like really quick, because if that match went like 15 minutes, I would be burying it right now. I'm not a big Levi Everett guy.
I had a feeling, and more on that to come.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't have anything positive to add to this.
So after the match, Ace continues to run his mouth, and then Russ Jones comes out and just absolutely squashes him. This is going to set up Ace Perry and Hammerstone versus Russ Jones and an opponent of his choice.
Yeah, I couldn't even take a sniff at who the partner would be, because I don't really follow this one super closely, but anytime I get to see Hammerstone's a good day, so I'll take it.
After this, Ace Steel defeated Davey Vega. How familiar are you with both of these guys?
More with Davey Vega than Ace Steel. Ace Steel is a pretty foreign name to me, all things considered, but
sure.
But I've seen Davey Vega a few times at least. So
what are your thoughts on Davey Vega?
Feels like a GCW guy, kind of.
Would it be fair for me to say that he's basically at his ceiling now?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, look at that. As I'm looking him up, I guess he did a dark match on AEW too. One of those little 30-second squash ones. Neat.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's been on there a couple times.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. I mean, that might say enough right there. Like,
I think he's a really good indie heel.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to come up later whenever we draft our perfect ROH roster. I think he's fine. They're obviously setting up a match between him and his former bestie, Matt Fitchett, down the road. But him losing here to Ace Steel, it stretches that out even longer, which I'm fine with. And we'll get to the ramifications of this later. Maybe one of my favorite matches of the night was ACH and Jossie defeating Hakeem Zayn and Karam. Jossie, far from a finished product, but you can see what his potential is.
Absolutely.
ACH is that guy, perfect guy to be tag team partners with. They had a singles match a little while back, and it was kind of like the start of their budding relationship. Hakeem Zayn is awesome on the Chicago Indies. Anytime I see him on a card, I'm just like, oh, this guy. But then I realized that's because like of the character and not the wrestler himself. I definitely think that he's someone that I think there's very real potential he could be on the ROH roster. That's probably not someone that we're going to pick, but there's definitely upside with him. Any thoughts on the match itself?
Yeah, solid match. Like I said, I think ACH is a good partner for Jossie to be tagging with. Hakeem Zayn's a good worker, so I still think I liked the other two matches I mentioned before more than this, but it was a really good match. I had no complaints.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely think ACH and Hakeem did most of the heavy lifting. And there were just some botches from Jossie that just kind of like it kind of took it down a little bit for me. But like I said, it was nothing I was mad about. Maximum effort out there from all four guys. So like I have nothing really bad to say. And then that takes us to the main event.
Yes.
AAW Heavyweight Championship. Matt Fitchett defeats Chef. Like I said last week, I'm a huge Matt Fitchett guy. From the first time I saw him, I'm like, I think there's real potential in this dude. And now he's the champion there. So I get to see him a lot in like the St. Louis, Chicago, Midwest Indies. And you were largely unfamiliar with him. So please tell me, am I totally out to lunch with Matt Fitchett? Because I hear no one else talking about the dude, and I want to make sure I'm not out on an island.
No, I don't think you're out to lunch on him. Again, I'm not super familiar with him, so I don't want to aboard the train too fast. But now that I'm looking at some other stuff on him here, I do want to go back, and that Windy City Classic show you were talking about, it looks like he and Yehai had a match there. So if I want to finish selling myself on him, that's going to be the match to do it. So
oh yeah, dude, there's that YouTube show is a blast. That might have been one of my favorite live shows I've ever been to. And one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't buy a Phoenix mask. I spent like maybe like $80 on a Pentagon Junior mask and had him sign it. And that was dope. That was like the first time there. I regret not getting the Phoenix mask because it was like $30-$40, and now his masks are like,
yeah,
good luck. What'd you think of Shaft?
Admittedly, I don't remember the match super well at this point since it was a week ago, but that also does kind of sum up the feelings on Shaft. So
I think he's an excellent tag team guy. I think if you put him with another giant dude, and they're just, big beefy tag team, I think that's going to be the spot for them to be in.
I could get on board with that.
Post match, Ace Steel came out. He was the mentor for Matt Fitchett. Matt Fitchett, cuts a promo, drops some awkward F-bombs, and keeps talking about how awesome Ace Steel is, and Ace Steel crushes him with a chair to set up an Ace Steel versus Matt Fitchett match. That, dude, I am so looking forward to that. That is going to be an absolute blast. Gritty and technical, and now it's a grudge match. I'm into it.
Yeah, so then does that set up, if Vega's supposed to be getting the Fitchett match later, is that going to get stretched out so that Ace takes the title off Matt, and then the match with Vega is not a title match?
So AAW can be pretty frustrating with their main event scene. They're pretty notorious for doing like time limit draws in their main event, which leaves a really sour taste in the mouth. I don't think Steele would end up winning the title. I think ultimately we're going to have Fitchett versus Davey. It's hard to say, but I don't think either guy's getting signed anytime soon. So you can really stretch this out and build both guys and make something really big out of it, and have this be like, this is basically like what their careers have been building towards. And then recently they split and went their own ways, and Fitchett went straight to the top. So that match is happening down the road, and it has to be for the title. So I think the Ace Steel match is really just a notch for Fitchett to be like, I beat my mentor.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe. But I don't think Ace Steel really has a shot there. I'm just looking forward to it. Black Label Pro.
All right. I will take it away on this show. Black Label Pro is one that I follow a little more. I don't always love the booking decisions, and there's a couple in this show that were kind of funky, but they do often feature a lot of people that I really like watching. So if I put the landscape of the promotion in terms of heavy hitters and that on the back burner, I can usually enjoy the shows pretty good. We opened up Devin Monroe defeating Cody Lane. That was a very interesting dynamic. We have the flamboyant redneck against the more flamboyant Devin Monroe. What'd you think of that one?
It was fine. It was a, given how, okay, I liked it fine. It was a good opener. It's exactly what I would expect to see out of like a local indie type thing. Totally non-offensive. And honestly, kind of like what you were saying about AEW, enough time has passed that I don't really remember much about it.
Yeah, fair enough. Match 2 was Dan the Dad going over Dan Champion. Dan Champion being someone I'm not super familiar with, but big brute in a singlet basically, and Dan the Dad telling the story of getting his dad power when his sunglasses or fake glasses get wrecked like he always does. So it was a pretty stereotypical Dan the Dad match. If you like Dan the Dad, you'll probably enjoy it. If you don't like Dan the Dad, this one's going to make your mind explode because he picked up the win against a much larger guy. So there's not much else to say about that. It was like most of his matches. So if you like it, you're going to enjoy it. And if you don't, you're going to be an unhappy man after this one. Which side do you fall on?
I'm going to pass.
All right. Moving on.
No, it's just like, I don't know. Like I saw Dan the Champion And I was like, yeah, Dan the champion's pretty cool. Dan the dad, not as much. I'm glad that Dan has a job outside of this and he keeps making checks. Good for him.
All
By the
right.
way, a huge mistake not calling him Dan the champion.
I
Like, come
know
on,
it was right there. Even just a one night only thing, it's there.
swing and a miss.
But next up, one of the most prolific names in professional wrestling, the Bang Bros, going up against Abby Jane and Pancakes.
Don't Google it.
It's bussy. It's talking about speed, like the boats. It's fine. There's nothing extra there. It's the energy drink, clearly.
I cannot wait until the dude behind Bang Energy Drink ends up going to like prison for some like money laundering thing, and this dude has to change his name to like Davy Monster or whatever.
There's still some wordplay with Bull, so we can work with that.
Right.
I actually kind of like the Bang Bros. They're definitely indie guys. Like they're not going anywhere anytime soon out of the indie scene, but I enjoy watching them. Abby Jane and Pancakes were in the match as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think I have more nice things to say about Bang Energy Drink than I do this match.
See, Bang isn't really a big energy drink one in Canada, so I don't like.
It's fine. You're not missing out on much.
Yeah, we've got Beaver Buzz.
Hey, yo, that sounds sick.
It is disgusting, but it's got a name, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bang is they have like 70 different flavors, but they're all exactly the same taste. It's pretty miraculous. Like it's really cool. And it's like it's supposed to be like the workout, like the gym champions that's like got creatine and stuff in it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm in my 30s. I probably shouldn't be having any energy drinks at all. So here we are.
If you weren't unhappy enough, have I got a story for you? Levi Everett, the butter churner, has defeated Calvin Tankman. I tried to do it without. Let me try. I can do it without cracking. Give me another go. I can't do it. Levi Everett beat Calvin Tankman.
How do you do this?
I can't say it with a straight face. I'm trying. It's not working.
What's the ceiling for Levi Everett in Black Label Pro? Is he going to be the champion? Is he going to knock off Jake something or Tom Lawler? What are we building him for? Just a feel-good match?
I felt so bad for Tankman here. And like Tankman's a great wrestler. And half the time he just looked lost because like,
if I'm him, I wouldn't come back.
What do I do with this guy? Like
you have a guy right there, Calvin Tankman, credible challenger to, like I said, either Jake something or Tom Lawler. Sign me up for either match. But hey, let's put this dude's gimmick is that he's Amish and churns butter. What are we doing?
This is the third Godwin brother 20 years later.
If that. And he's not like bad in ring, but it's like it's a comedy thing. Have him do a best of 1 million series against Dan the dad to open your show so I can just go 15 minutes in and start the show from there. This was infuriating. And I'm like, hey, Black Label Pro, let's give him some shine. Let's, post-pandemic, let's get back into it. And then they do this. Well, Calvin Tankman's a dude. You flew Calvin Tankman in or made him drive in to lose to Levi Everett. Take the pencil away. Give it to someone else. What are we doing? I want wrestling. I don't want Levi Everett beating Calvin Tankman.
Well, the good news is you get wrestling for most of the rest of the show, and some good matches came out of the back half of this because that was a rough opening half.
I got nothing else.
So we
have an aneurysm if I keep going.
In prestige mode, we put the heavyweight championship match in the middle of the card. I understand why they did it for this one. I might have done it after the next match to give the winner of the next match a little more break, but whatever.
We can talk about match placement at the end of the show because I was very confused by it.
Yeah, but I do understand why this one didn't close the show. So Jake something over Kevin Blackwood for maybe the ugliest heavyweight championship in the business. It is
not great.
It's not great. It kind of looks like one of the cheap knockoff company toy versions of a championship belt.
What was the place that did all those really god awful ROH figures?
Figures Toy Company.
Yeah, them. It's like if they made
it looks like one of their belts, absolutely. But fortunately, the man holding the belt is much better than the belt itself. Jake something over Kevin Blackwood. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I'm a big fan of both guys. I keep seeing more and more of Kevin Blackwood, and every time I find something new I like about him. I am glad that Jake Something held on to this belt because he seems to be picking up losses in a lot of our reviews lately after leaving Impact. So
Yep.
it's good to at least find one promotion where he is still running around as the guy. So after the disaster that we shall not refer back to, I was happy with this match.
A super technical match, decently physical too. It was what I wanted. It felt like both guys kind of left something on the table. So I think that any promotion could book this match and I would be totally fine with it. And I think what this match is now compared to these guys facing off again 5 years from now are going to be totally different matches. Yeah, Kevin Blackwood is someone who I'm glad is starting to get more and more bookings outside of just, the smaller indies and isn't big timing places like Black Label Pro. I think that speaks to his character and just like constantly working, constantly moving, constantly doing stuff. Jake Something is someone people need to be building around. And I think he's going to be signing a major league contract sooner rather than later. I really enjoyed the match. I think I would have put this on last.
Yeah, I think it definitely could have gone last. Again, I understand why they didn't, given the other story with the Midwest title that they're telling, but yeah, this easily could have main evented the show.
Actually, you know what? I do have something bad about this match to say. Why did Jake Something have to hit a low blow to beat Kevin Blackwood? Why can we not have a heavyweight champion that's who's that big? Just have a meaningful win, clean. Again, I'm trying not to get too upset because it is traditional for Black Label Pro to do stuff that I'm not really a huge fan of. It's not like at the top of my list. Yeah, it was pretty upsetting to see because Kevin Blackwood can afford that loss.
Oh yeah,
against your main champion. I'm very opposed to the way that it ended. That definitely left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, it has to leave with Blackwood going back, running up the ranks again, and then being the one to beat Jake for it. If you're going to do the low blow, you have to do that. And that,
hey, I don't know.
You don't need to do the low blow to tell that story. But now that you've done the low blow, that's the direction you have to take this.
But do you trust them to do that story?
No. If I ignore the booking, I can enjoy the shows. I just can't think about the booking. You know what? There are enough years of Connecticut trauma that I have learned how to just lock that booking part of the brain aside. I can't do it with Connecticut anymore. It's like they've scratched that itch too much that if anyone on the pod listening is big Supernatural fans, it's like the Sam Winchester hell thing where it gets blocked off. The wall has come down because I've scratched the itch too much with Connecticut that I can't keep the wall up. But with this promotion, I can still do it. Levi may be pushing that wall and scratching it as close as anyone can. So it may crack soon, but
good for him for getting booked on the first two shows that we talk about on the show.
Absolutely.
Good job, man.
Good job, Levi Everett. If I will say a positive thing, he's very committed to the gimmick. I don't like the gimmick, but he does he's committed to it. He's playing the role.
I'll say this. I hope he travels safe and has fun down in Dallas and makes it home okay. That's all I'll say.
All right. So next up, Midwest #1 contenders match. Kevin Koo, one half of Violence is Forever, defeating Avery Good, professional wrestler. This is part of Avery Good's more or less retirement tour. I don't know which match of 10 he's on, but I believe he said he was doing about 10 matches and then hanging it up for good. But for the next 10 matches, I think he's going to be losing a fair amount of them on his farewell tour, however long this farewell tour lasts. And he did lose this one to Kevin Koo. Kevin is someone I am super high on, so I was glad to see him pick up the win here. Avery Good's a solid guy in the ring, so I enjoyed the match. Kevin definitely worked his ass off this show. This was not a short match to begin with, and him winning this match means he's going up against Tom Lawler in the main event. So big workhorse night for Kevin.
I have mixed feelings on Kevin Koo. He's one of those guys where I feel like he should be one of the biggest names on the independents. And it's one of those things where it's just I don't know why he's not there. I definitely think he's got a really decent ceiling. And I want to see more from him. That said, this was a fine match. I would have started the show with this.
I think it would have made sense to start the show with this, if for nothing else, for poor Kevin's sake, to give him
him some time.
Give him a break. to the point of where he's been on the indies, this may or may not be a correct answer. I am guessing here. He and Dominic Garrini very recently left MLW. Depending on their commitments there and how Court Bauer's toilet paper contracts work, there may have been some limitations within the past 6 to 8 months for him in terms of independent appearances.
Well,
If
and
he starts- yeah,
the pandemic set a
too.
lot of people behind.
Pandemic
So it's like,
screwed
I'm really
people,
not
like-
being critical for most
I
people.
want to see more of him. I think the next few months will tell us if it was an MLW situation or just some other factor we don't know about, or just pandemic issues.
This is someone that I would buy hypothetical stock in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like Kevin Koo, and I'm fine with him as a singles or a tag guy. I like Greeny as well. I like Violence is Forever. They're one of my favorite tags on the indies. So either way, I'm happy with whatever direction he goes in. Next up, the lone women's match of the card, the lone sole women's match. There is a intergender match coming. Billy Starks, the 17-year-old prospect that's getting a lot of press recently, going over Rachel Ellering. The big story with this match, the smiley 17-year-old Starks completes her heel turn to end the match, does the fake injury spot. They sell the injury for a bit, then does a full Nelson suplex to Ellering and gets the pin that way. My big gripe with this is doing the X on these spots. I cannot stand when we do the X as part of these fake injury spots. I understand why they do fake injury spots, whatever. Sometimes when they're done well, they're okay.
But there's a way to do it.
There's a way to do them, and the X is not it. And it is not unique as much as we can crap on some other decisions for Black Label Pro. It's not unique to them. Earl Hebner did it with Cody Rhodes against Nick Aldis at All In, and that completely took me out of that match, and that took a while to get back in because I cannot stand that moment.
It's hard to justify, and we have to be, you might not know this because I know you're not as online as much. We have to be very careful with how we talk about Billy Starks.
Yes.
There's a couple ways to break down this match. First of all, the match itself, fine. I liked it fine. I think Ellering is getting better and better every single time I see her. I could say the same thing for Starks. I did have an issue. The whole underage wrestling thing is really hard, and especially we'll end up talking about it later, but the idea, I mean, she didn't do it here, but an underage female wrestler working intergender or working just any promotion, there's a certain feeling to it that it feels off for me, and I have a really hard time buying into her matches. That said, I do think that she has a bright future, not just in indie wrestling, but I think she'll probably end up with a major league contract somewhere, even if that ceiling's like an Impact or something like that. She has a bright future. The X spot, it killed it for me. I didn't buy into it at all because the way, have you ever seen the Will Ferrell movie made, or what's it called? Semi-Pro.
I'm going to piss off a lot of people right now. I cannot stand Will Ferrell.
That's okay. So it's about Will Ferrell. He's like an ABA player back in the 70s. The commentary team in this movie is Andy Daly and Will Arnett. And there's a moment where Will Ferrell gets knocked out and knocked out. And his teammates just pick up his arms and pick up his legs and start carrying him. And my favorite line from that movie is from Andy Daly, who says, "Oh, they are just doing a poor job of supporting his spine." That's what I thought whenever they were helping Billy Starks out of the ring, just where it's like you put up the X and then they put her on her feet and like trying to get her out of the ring. I'm like, this is insane. Like that's whenever I was just like, this is a goof. Like
that is the exact
that, or I'm like, these are the most unprofessional referees ever. Like that killed it for me.
That is the moment that really pissed me off. I mean, and again, I'm going to start going off the sports background, like the coaching background here. If that was actually an X movement, those refs aren't first responders. Why in the hell would you move her? Like, so it made it really obvious to me that it was a fake spot. And like, again, do the spot, just don't put up that stupid X. I don't know if it's supposed to be like trying to pull one over on the fans and whatever.
Or do we need to make sure that all of our referees in any level of wrestling go to like some level of class or have some way of knowing like what to do whenever you see someone with an injury.
Yeah, because
thankfully this wasn't a real situation.
Thankfully
but
it wasn't. But if it was,
maybe that's a
not
thing to look into. Even if you're going to make it look more believable, maybe let's be a little more professional in that aspect.
Absolutely.
I'll say this: the suplex to end the match was pretty rough.
So I don't like lumping praise on Connecticut when I can help it, but the thing that they do very well with these fake injury spots is they usually bring out the stretcher and everything. They go through the stretcher motions. Again, I have my own feelings on overdoing that spot in general, not just with them, but with everybody. But at least they go through the motions and make it look like if it was an injury, it was done relatively by the book. The point where the other guy runs at him and slams him off the stretcher is another story. But
yeah, I'm not really a fan of that. But I will say the one that sticks out to me the most from them, and this was back in the early aughts, whenever I was really into WWE, was for some reason Rey Mysterio was put on a stretcher, and then Big Show picks him up and slams it against the ring post. I was like, that's badass. And then he just drops him and Rey eats the ground face first. It is one of my favorite gifts in wrestling ever, because I'm like, Rey is lucky he didn't. I mean, he might have gotten concussed. I don't know. But like I said, even then, there's a level of professionalism with doing, like, making sure we're actually taking care of people. Because what if that was a situation where that was the case? I'm not just trying to bury Black Label Pro just to do it, but I'm saying, like, maybe refs should have some first responder training.
It's a very good point. More to the match itself again, I definitely have less of an issue watching. Like, if I watch Nick Wayne when he's 16 and how amazing he is at 16, I'm feeling just as comfortable watching Billy when she's 17.
Her and Ellering had really good chemistry. Hopefully BLP does the right thing and run this match back at some point. It would have been a great match to do this upcoming weekend.
Absolutely.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they'll circle back to it at some point.
Yeah, there's a reasonable chance. I mean, Billy works a lot of places. Rachel's starting to pop up more and more. It's reasonable to assume they just maybe couldn't even get them both on this show next weekend because the demand was,
or it might be too
spread out. It might be too soon too. Billy, obviously this was the big heel turn for her, so maybe they want to let her flesh that out a bit before they return back to this match. And maybe that's kind of the culmination of the first heel arc as Ellering comes back and goes over her.
I would be interested to see Ellering in a grudge match in that situation and see if Starks really can work heel. I think as much as her turning 18 is going to increase her chances of getting signed somewhere, if she can show flexibility in being both a heel and baby face. But I mean, let's be honest, this has like Kylie Ray or Bailey written all over it, where it's like she's just an obvious baby face.
She is, but
so who knows? Who knows? She might be unlocking something.
Well, maybe the words to the promo weren't always a hit for me. Like, it, by the end, it kind of trickled out in terms of the actual like sentences, but her tone and everything during it, I thought it was a pretty good tone of voice for a heel. You know, her laughing at the end and the little smirky smile, like it was super condescending, and I dug that part. So, I mean, she's 17. She's not going to be the world's best promo at 17, and that's fine. I thought it was
definitely too soon to tell.
It is. I liked it for what it was. I dug the heel turn out of her. Especially going, coming up on turning 18 soon. I think it's a reasonable time to run that. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm just going to be a badass who's going to take what I want. I think it's a good time in her career to try that.
I just wish there was a better way that they got to it.
Yeah, take out the way we did it. Have her
take out the X, fake an injury. Because what was them? It was Athena Thunder Rosa, where that injury spot both of us bought.
Absolutely, that spot.
You don't have to do the X.
No, they did not do the X in that match, and I bought that injury. Like, I was pretty worried about it for a minute there.
Yeah, so was I. But we're basically just repeating ourselves at this point.
Absolutely.
To sum it up, don't do the X.
Yeah, don't do the X. But I really like both these women, and I loved every other part of the match. So.
What'd you think of Shaza McKenzie and Warhorse?
All right, now we're talking my language again. I
was gonna say I saw this and I was like, dude, this match has Mitch written all over it.
It had me written all over it, and it delivered for me. I still love Warhorse. I definitely want to bang heads with him, and Shaza is looking looking awesome, being back in America. I think
Mhm.
she's going to be a very interesting one over the next couple of years, because in order to work anywhere long term, it's not really feasible to fly in and out of Australia on a monthly basis. If
Well, I
you're
think
going to
she's
do it,
here
she's here.
until May
Yeah, they
or
said on the
June.
show she's here for a couple months yet. But even then, like, you can't work in a major promotion that well and fly in and out every few months. You could maybe do it in AEW. I know, like, Pac did it for a while in the pandemic and it wasn't
He
great.
still does it
He
now.
still does it now, and that's part of the reason why he's not pushed through the moon there. Like, it's
Dude, that's the thing that people are like, why aren't they pushing Pac?
yeah, it's
I'm like,
because
he
he's
doesn't
not
live here,
around that
dude.
much. Yeah, he lives in England. He still lives there. And I
I don't
think
know what you
Shaz
want.
is in kind of the same boat. But I really enjoyed the match. I guess they built it up for a while with some Twitter stuff through the pandemic that I'm completely oblivious to because I stay off that. But
Yeah,
I love the
I didn't get
match.
into that.
I think it was a good call to go to the finish off the top. I would like to see a new finisher out of her. I don't love the split stunner, but that's nothing specific to this match. That's just something I'd like to see a different move out of.
Is what it is.
Yep.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine. I definitely think there's something there with her. She is major league ready now.
Absolutely. I think she could sign tomorrow if it wasn't for visa issues and where she wants to live. I think she's
Right.
ready to go. She is
And
a made
the
product.
bigger the company, the more likely it is that they would take care of visa
Absolutely.
issues.
Yeah.
So it really just depends. So I'm hoping for her, she stays healthy over the next couple months, really gets to showcase herself, build connections, continue to build a fan base. Because she does have one in Australia. Just as much as I don't know about the US women's scene, I know even less about the Australia women's scene. So I'm guessing that this is going to
really is one.
right. So I'm guessing that, if she wants to move forward, this is the country to do it in.
Yeah. This feels like a 3-month tryout tour for her to try and get a deal somewhere long term.
That said, she would be a pretty badass Joshi if she wanted to go over there and do that.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, Warhorse is Warhorse.
Yeah, Warhorse. I like him, so I enjoyed the match. Main event time. Midwest title. Why do we have a Midwest title? But Tom Lawler has this Midwest title. I mean, you know,
they have to fly him in
to
defend the title.
Weirder title names than that. He defeats Kevin Koo. Kevin doing his double duty. Solid match. Tom's a good worker in general. He and Kevin didn't overlap in MLW. Tom was already gone from there, I think, by the time Kevin showed up, but I'm assuming they've worked together before. And yeah, solid match to end the show. I don't know that it was my match of the night, but it was a good match.
It never hooked me. There was nothing bad about it. Like you would expect out of these guys, very technical.
Yep.
There were some Kevin Koo fans in the audience really pulling that one kid just like cheering for him. I was like, listen to that little kid trying to get the crowd going.
Was it the little dude with the glasses?
I do not remember.
I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, I forget his name. He was in the show, but his dad posts on stuff a lot about him when he's watching AEW, and he goes on these super kayfabe rants like Hangman and the Dark Order got to make up, and it's like the most adorable thing you've ever seen. So I really hope it's that kid, because that kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
That kid is the shit. Like, he's awesome.
I was gonna say, I think I became a big fan of that kid.
Yeah, that kid
it's like I'll say this to wrestling fans as a whole: be more like that kid. You go to a show and chant "This is awesome," you're a problem. If you chant "What," that's a problem. But yeah, this kid's like, "Let's go, Kevin," and ended up getting the crowd to like clap and chant behind him. I'm like, yes, this kid is a chant starter. Let's go. Black Label Pro needs to give him free tickets from here on out. Just saying. That
kid is the bomb. I liked him a lot, but yeah, the match was good. I never really doubted for a second that Tom was retaining, so it was a little hard to get into it in that sense, but they both work well. So
yeah, I don't have an overall sense of what the plan is for either Jake or Lawler in this promotion. It's kind of hard to tell. And that part is a little rough. I like the idea of knowing like who the number one contenders are, because looking at who won, I don't think that Devin Monroe, Dan the Dad, the Bang brothers, Levi Everett, Billy Starks, and Shaza McKenzie are legitimate threats. You got to build up the next challenger. I mean, you don't have to. You're an indie promotion. You can do whatever you want. But I don't like the feeling of ending the show and not really knowing what's next. Especially after watching Kevin Koo go twice in one night. I thought it was a fine way to end the show. But like I said, I probably would have done something in Blackwood.
Yeah. I think that would have been the better way to end it. But yeah, back half was significantly better than the front half.
For sure.
They got that part right. I think my actual match of the night, X spot aside, might be Starks and Ellering. That X spot ruined the match for me, but they looked fantastic to me.
Oh yeah, it's something in Blackwood for a mile from me. I'm like I said, I'm just a big fan of both guys, and even though I don't feel like I got everything out of them, it was a good enough match.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic match. But that wraps up Black Label Pro and the big shows we watched this weekend. Unfortunately, we can't get access to Jonah and Mike Bailey yet, but
dude,
I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Whenever I saw that IWTV is uploading Jonah versus Mike Bailey tomorrow night, I was like, dude. So yeah, so next week we'll probably lead off the show with that, unless something major happens during Mania weekend.
There's one, I'm trying to find out who it was last night. Who is it that he wrestled? I haven't checked this match out either yet. Yeah, Brian Cage and Buddy Matthews were on, I think it's Battleground last night.
Is that IWTV?
I don't know. The only reason I noticed it is, and this is gonna make both of our heads explode, the name of the event, because we haven't heard it enough. When Worlds Collide. But Brian Cage and Buddy Matthews is a match I'm really interested in seeing, so I want to go back and check that one out. I will not check out the rest of the show out of principle because of the name.
Sure. What'd you say the promotion was?
I think Battleground.
I'm just going to look at Brian.
Battleground Championship Wrestling. Yeah, if I can find the match, I want to watch Cage and Matthews. He's been promoting AEW again on Twitter, and he said that there's a plan for him to come back. So my honest bet is he's going to come back and win the Owen.
Oh!
That's my pick. I don't like him winning the Owen. Maybe he won't win, but I think he's coming back in it.
Do you know who I think should win the Owen? Jericho.
Oh man, that would be some heat. You have to have a face win it the first time.
How amazing would it have been to have Kevin Steen win the Owen up in Canada?
We haven't figured out. There's got to be the perfect name in here somewhere. It's not Brian Pillman Jr., but
people kept pitching that. But again, I'm not on him at all.
No, I'd sooner put it on Griff Garrison. But
is Griff Garrison?
There is a name in here. When it hits me, it's going to be the person to win. It's not.
Have they announced the bracket yet?
No, they have not announced anything about it.
They did say there was a women's qualifier.
Yeah.
And the buzz is that it's going to be Toni Storm as the mystery opponent.
I think it's either Athena or Yim. I don't think it's Toni yet. I think either Athena did enough with those Thunder Rosa matches to get her contract, or it's going to be Mia Yim coming in, because it's the same way they brought Keith Lee in. So it makes sense for the parallel.
I'm not that high on both Athena or Mia Yim. I think they're both fine, but I wouldn't push either one to the point where they're winning the Owen.
I mean, this is just winning a qualifier.
No, but I'm saying like the overall tournament itself.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think whoever this woman is, I don't think that's the person winning the Owen. But all right, so got that match to look back on. But coming up, we have an insane weekend of wrestling with Mania weekend coming up, combined with Supercard of Honor, because Tony didn't set that date and did not want to go back on the word for the fans who had already bought tickets, which kudos for him for eating that bullet, because not only is it a crap weekend to show on, it's also going head to head with his other show. But there are a million things to come on Mania weekend, and I don't know how we can get to even half of it.
Yep. So these aren't in order. This is literally just like I pulled up Cage match and looked at everything that's coming up this weekend. There's some stuff on here. There were several like lucha shows that looked really awesome, but I don't know if we'll ever get to see them.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to worry about talking about that. If they happen to be on the internet at some point, you'd better bet we're going to cover them, because some of those cards were awesome. So this is going to be in no particular order beside date. So let's get into it with maybe the best card from an indie this weekend. WrestleCon gives us the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Super Show. Super cool of them to do a memorial show and make this like the big show on that night. The cool thing about this is that there's a $5,000 bounty to be given to the best match on the show, which I'm like, dude, I am down for that. A memorial show where we're paying off the best match to be decided by the crowd. That's awesome.
It is a great idea. Fantastic idea. This card is loaded.
You want to break it down?
We've got Athena versus Mia Yim. Obviously, Athena being former Ember Moon. So women's wrestling fans will get a look at what both of them look like right now in their post WWE state. We have Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki going up against the recently returned Biff Busick. I would say that's going to be the match of the night, but I think my pick is coming 2 matches later. We've got the Briscoes against Homicide and Low Key in what should be, someone might get murdered in that match.
The floor is so low and the ceiling is so high.
Absolutely.
It's so hard to predict.
I don't know where it's going to land.
They're going to bring like what
there's
Homicide
a 5K bounty, so that's got to be some incentive.
Low Key is going to go all out.
Oh my God.
Code Reds for everybody.
Is he showing up in the Hitman suit again?
Is he showing up?
Is he showing up? Yes. Will it be a handicap match? Tune in to find out. But my pick for what's likely going to steal the show, Mike Bailey against Bandito.
Yep.
That
was the one that I had circled.
Flipping weekend.
Yep.
That could steal the weekend.
If Bandito shows up to work.
Yes.
So he has a habit of on the not major shows to just basically go through the motions, which again, nothing wrong with that. The effort is still there, but it's not like he's not cranking out 5 stars on the indies. Like whenever we mention Mike Bailey, I think he's much more reliable in this match than Bandito, as much as I love Bandito. But he's working a lot over this weekend. Both guys are.
But this one has potential $5,000 bonus. So
if I had to bet, I would pick this match.
Yeah, I think Bandito will show up for this one, knowing he can make $5,000 extra for making this the match he shows up most on.
At 2,500.
Yeah, I guess. Is it 5K for each or 5K total? I don't know if they established.
I thought it was total. I would be shocked if they're paying out
10K is a lot of money, but
or you look at the tag team match and they're like, oh, we're out 20 grand to the. I would not want to owe 20 grand to the Briscoes, Homicide, and Low Key. I'm just saying that now.
Well, and we've got Tomohiro Ishii against Timothy Thatcher. I think that one could be amazing. It could also flop, but it could be unreal.
That's another one. Ceiling is really high, floor is really low. It's really hard to tell with both guys.
And the last match that is currently announced, which pretty much cements it that it is $5,000 for everybody combined, because this would be a $30,000 payout. Ace Austin, Black Taurus, or Black Taurus, however you want to say it. I'm used to the way Impact says it. Jonathan Gresham, all against Michael Oku, Ray Horace, and Laredo Kid.
This might be the $5,000 match.
It might be. That's a loaded match, and that is a stacked card.
Yeah, it's amazing. I looked at it and I was like, what do you think the group text between Ace Austin, Black Taurus, and Jonathan Gresham looks like?
Right?
Like, that's a weird team. But then you look at Oku, Horace, and Laredo Kid. I'm excited that Oku's coming in. I think there's a lot of people who aren't familiar with him who are really going to get to see him shine. And then, dude, Ray Horace is a vet. He's going to go out there and him and Gresham, I think, are going to be directing the match for sure. And then Laredo Kid, he's one of those guys. Unfortunately, I don't think Vikingo is making the trip up, but Laredo Kid is one of the luchadors that people need to know about.
Yes.
And I think he's gotten some shine from AEW. Nothing crazy. Like if you watch everything, you've seen him a couple times, but I don't think a lot of people are familiar with him.
No, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, he's currently signed to Impact.
Yeah, he is. Yep, he's not going to be part of our draft later.
Nope. So. All right, next match on the list here, Joey Janela's Spring Break 6 Night 1. Few notable ones on here. The championship match, Moxley versus AJ Gray.
Where do you set expectations for that match?
I don't know how to set expectations because of the promotion. I don't know what type of match we're going to get because Moxley loves his plunder stuff. So I don't know.
It's one of those things where I think GCW setting up this match, this is probably one of the biggest matches that they can do. But on paper, I'm just like, dude, Moxley's one of those guys where it's maximum effort all the time. You don't have to question that. But sometimes it just doesn't click, and he goes hard too. And then with AJ Gray, he's been killing it on the indie since he won the independent title from Alex Shelley. I like him a lot, but again, like this, I think it's a clash of styles, and I don't know. I'm setting the expectations very, very low and hoping that they blow them away.
Couple other notable matches on the card. X-Pac Janela is one of the big draws. AR Fox against Blake Christian. And then Mickey James and Alley Catch. Then there's a couple typical GCW matches on it.
Right.
Glory Pro on the same night. Cemetery Gates. There's only two matches listed.
Making the drive down from St. Louis. Let's go.
Davey Vega and Matt Fitchett teaming together against Davey Richards and Rocky Romero.
The best he's in the world. Going up against Davey Richards and Rocky Romero. That's a tag team.
That is a tag team. And then what could be a very weird combination, Josh Alexander, the Walking Weapon, against Warhorse.
This is where I want Warhorse to just be badass and go out there just full effort, like zero comedy spots.
Yeah, like
I want zero comedy out of Warhorse in this match. You can't do that against Josh Alexander.
No. So this will say a lot about Warhorse's ability to be flexible and put himself in a spot to move up the career ladder, because right now he's at the ceiling of what the Warhorse shtick can do. And this is going to be this is kind of a make or break match to some extent.
I couldn't have said it better. I think if he goes any bit of comedy in this match, that's really a death nail, I think.
Absolutely. Got Bloodsport.
Let's go back to GCW.
Let's go back.
No, is this the same night?
This is the same night.
Mox is doing that and AJ Gray, and then going up against Biff Busick the same night.
Yeah, this is the same night. There's a few other notable ones on here. Suzuki and Dixon.
Don't like that, dude. I got a bad vibe.
I am really worried about that.
Not like Mox is a dangerous worker. Or
no, but it's just a lot of volume. It's like that's a lot of volume, and he's not going to pull up on either of those. So
that said, though, Moxley versus Biff on paper is a sick match.
It is a sick match for Bloodsport, especially.
I think that's probably the one I'm looking most forward to on this card.
Yeah, I think the other notable ones on this card for me would be, honestly, Zeta Zhang and Marina Shafir. I'm excited for that one. I don't know that I want this match in Bloodsport, but Mike Bailey versus Yuya Yamura seems like a great match for New Japan Strong.
Or on just a GCW
Or on
show.
just a GCW show. So it's
weird
Bloodsport
is
Bloodsport.
a weird one. I think it'll be good, though.
It'll still be a really good match. I'm a little puzzled at why they picked Bloodsport.
Dang, and that's Bailey's second match of the night, too.
That is Bailey's second match of the night. Any chance we got the date wrong on Bloodsport? Because that's insane. No. All right.
Bloodsport's normally a late show, so
yeah.
Minoru Suzuki versus Chris Dickinson is interesting, but then again, Suzuki's at that age. He's not going to go out there and for anyone who saw his little indie run that he did in the States, it was very disappointing, and I think we can expect more of that out of Suzuki. Ninja Mac versus Yoya, Alex Coughlin versus Slade will be there. Josh Barnett versus Jonah Rock is interesting. Simon Grimm versus John Hennigan is bizarre. I'll be open-minded for that. Timothy Thatcher versus JR Kratos. Again, Thatcher's one of those dudes I'm not super high on. And then the bad dude Tito and Royce Isaacs, finishes off that card. Another GCW show.
I don't even know what's on the card. I don't plan on watching this one.
Yeah, whenever I did the notes for Planet Death, I looked at the card and I was like, nope, I am skipping this full stop unless someone I trust gives me the match recommendations.
Yeah. Only other show on the list. I don't know if we'll be able to get access to it, but AAA Invades WrestleCon would be a cool show if we can watch it. But
I think we're getting it. The AAA thing is a little weird. I haven't looked into the WrestleCon. They normally do a package of stuff to watch. But yeah, this dude, this card, if you want to run it down for us, this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, let's move through it quick because we still got a lot of these to get through before we draft. And if we spend too long, we're going to be here for 3 hours. But Laredo Kid defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Flamita and Bandito.
And that's the biggest match on the card. If you want to skip the rest of it, besides Black Taurus and Psycho Clown,
yeah,
there's some stuff in there that's going to be fun.
There's some fun tag matches in there. The rest of it is pretty much giant tag matches, and there's a lot of the big names you'd expect to be there are there.
Right. So that takes us to
April 1st.
1st of April. Like you said earlier, Tony Khan is running Super Card of Honor. This is going to be the last one of WrestleMania weekend. I wanted to talk about this a little bit. If Tony Khan is going to be running Ring of Honor, similar to how WWE ran NXT, where the night before a major show, Ring of Honor runs a major show, we have an AEW show quarterly that could be a WrestleMania weekend type destination.
Yeah.
So Vegas.
Yeah.
The next one up for Double or Nothing. We could have a sick ROH show, and we could also have Game Changer coming out. We could have all the West Coast indies, Prestige, West Coast, anyone who's out, PWG even though they don't really do that anymore. All of you migrate there and just do a super weekend.
And it makes,
how it's right there.
It makes a lot of sense to do it too. Typically the game plan has been doing live rampages before those, and instead
having gone to it, it's brutal.
Yeah, just do a taped rampage after Dynamite, and then you can turn this into the Supercard show, and that will fix a lot of those logistical issues. So,
yep. And then let's see, running down the card itself, ROH World Championship, Highlander rules. There can only be one. Jonathan Gresham takes on Bandito, and that has to be the match of the show. I'm not saying like I think that's going to be, that literally has to be the match of the show. Gresham has to put his best foot out there. Bandito, again, I don't know if we're at his apex right now. I would bet that we are. I don't know if he has too much higher to go in the world of professional wrestling. So I both guys, I think, really need to blow the doors off here.
Got Pure Championship, Josh Woods defending against Wheeler Yuta.
Can't wait.
I am very excited for that match.
Let's go Utes.
We're both very high on Yuta, and I think he's going to continue to blow people's minds. One of the matches that has been hyped for a while is finally coming. The Briscoes against FTR for the ROH Tag Team Championships.
I'm setting expectations very low.
I'm very nervous about that match.
I think the word is out on FTR that I think a lot of people are really high on them, but they do tend to turn in the same matches again and again. I'm really interested to see how they work with the Briscoes. And honestly, I don't think that FTR should win here.
No, I don't think they should or will.
I think the Briscoes, they're not going to be on AEW proper. HBO put their word in there. So I think they're a lock for Ring of Honor moving forward. So maybe FTR wins and that sets up a feud, because honestly, there's really nothing for FTR to do on main roster AEW. So maybe FTR could be they want to do an indie run because they never got to, since they're a developmental team, from Florida. They might be ROH champs coming out of this.
Maybe. We've also got Swerve and Alex Zane.
Let's go.
That should tear the house down. And in a really interesting match for the night, Jay Lethal and Lee Moriarty.
Do you think Lethal goes back to ROH?
I kind of wondered from that promo that he cut last, was it Rampage or Dynamite? I can't remember, whichever one he just lost on, that something's got to change promo. Like I could see him going back to ROH, and to him, it wouldn't be a demotion. It would be going back home. It's still the same guy owning it. So you just move the contract over, change the name on the title. That was my first thought with the promo he cut on AEW, was not a heel turn. No, he's going to ROH. But I'll be wrong.
Anything from GCW's Gringo Locos, The World on Lucha, that you want to highlight?
Not really. I'll check it out and see what it's about, but I want to be time sensitive too, and it's okay. So,
well, let's talk about the next GCW show that night. Joey Janela Spring Break
night 2.
6, Part 2. Biff Busick, Tony Deppen, PCO versus Mike Bailey has potential. Minoru Suzuki versus Effie is going to be literally what you think it's going to be. And I don't think the ceiling on that's high. Cardona, Chris Dickinson is literally whatever. That just feels thrown on. So let's go to the next GCW show for the culture running that night. Anything on here you want to highlight?
Darius Lockhart versus AJ Gray should be absolutely phenomenal. Darius Lockhart almost got going with AEW, got an injury. There were some other things, some backstage stuff that he got upset with, I think, too, similar to the Swole situation. So I don't know that we'd ever see him pop back up there, but he is a hell of a wrestler, and this should be a fantastic match. The other significant thing, for multiple reasons, Big Swole's kind of first match back. It's against Tasha Steelz for the Impact Championship. While I don't expect Swole to have a prayer of winning, because Tasha is the girl for Impact right now until Masha takes over, I do think it's interesting to set up whether or not Swole goes to Impact. So
the match that stood out on this card for me was JTG versus Rich Swann. I think that one's going to be a lot of fun. Besides Lockhart and Gray, that JTG Swan was the one that stood out. Let's go to New Japan's Lone Star Shootout. Besides Ring of Honor that night, this might be the show that I'm looking the most forward to.
Absolutely. This is a fantastic card.
Ishii versus Chris Dickinson. Bailey versus Jay White. Yeah,
that has a lot of potential.
Minoru Suzuki, Killer Cross is going to be a match. We'll see if that means that they're going to push Killer Cross moving forward. Maybe from the sounds of it, Tony Khan's not super high on the dude, so don't expect him in those two promotions.
Nope.
He's obviously not WWE's radar right now. MLW, probably Impact would make sense. New Japan Strong, he could be a dude there. I wouldn't be shocked if Killer Cross joins Suzuki-gun.
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
Post-match.
I think there's zero chance Cross and Scarlett ever go back to Impact. They did not leave there on good terms. So I think that bridge is burned. And I think it was mutual. Like I think they burned the bridge on purpose because there were a lot of things they're unhappy with. Some maybe fair. I don't know all the details. They might be totally in the right for burning that bridge, but whatever the reason, it's not going to happen. But yeah, fantastic night.
Rocky Romero, Ren Narita. I wouldn't be shocked if this is Ren Narita's coming out party and he gets a decent win against Rocky.
I think the time for him to start escaping Young Lion status really for real. So there's good.
And then the multi-man matches are definitely undercard matches that might be fine. Team Lawler having one against Coughlin, Rosser, and TKC. Want to make sure I said that right.
DKC.
And then Jonah versus Blake Christian. Dude, Blake Christian should just bump for Jonah for the majority of the match, and it would be awesome. I hope that was fast enough. I'm trying to get through this part without
I know.
I still want to highlight it.
We got Zicky Dice's Trouble in Paradise 2. I don't know if there's anything really super standing out on this card.
I'll watch Scotty 2 Hottie and Rich Swann.
Yeah, I will definitely
watch
that.
I will put $100 down right now that there's a dance off at least once in this match.
There will be multiple dance offs in that match. Oh, Lindsay Dorado versus Black Taurus. That could be really good. Maybe.
Lindsay Dorado's return on the indies has been pretty spotty. That's a dude that I fully support and I want to see him do better. And Black Taurus is a dude that, again, let's see how serious he takes this weekend.
Yeah.
That does have the potential to be an awesome match if both guys go out there and just kill it.
Yeah. I think that's really all that stood out on that card. Impact is running a show, which is weird.
Yeah, the multiverse of matches is interesting premise. There's some stuff on here.
Yeah, there's some neat combinations on there. But
what stood out to you?
I mean, Shelly Bailey is hot match. I actually don't mind Eddie Edwards. So him against Ishii has some potential. Sabin versus Jay White is a good setup.
It's weird. Weird.
In another weird one that makes sense but is weird and may stink up the joint. Nick Aldis and Mickey James against Cardona and Chelsea Green. I understand the storyline with it, but I don't know that I'm really looking forward to watching it. There is a huge X Division match though that most of them will blow the
That's
roof
what I
off.
had circled.
Yeah, Trey and Swan, Willie, Vincent, Grace, and Chris Bay.
Interesting show. Briscoes versus Good Brothers is good for those guys for getting a payday. I am interested in the future of the Good Brothers with Impact. I don't know if that's the last major place they have to go, but I feel like they've done everything they can do in Impact. The Briscoes working with Impact is interesting too, because if they're not going to be working Ring of Honor, Impact has to snatch them up immediately. Effie's Big Gay Brunch to start the final day.
Yeah, if I hear anything good, I'll go back and check it out.
I doubt there's going to be some 4-star matches.
I don't think so.
Black Label Pro is running a show in tribute of Norm Macdonald. So after the kind of disappointing show that we covered earlier, credit to them for covering one of my favorite comedians of all time. I'll definitely pour one out for Norm Macdonald. So credit to them for doing that. The Workhorsemen are getting a match. Davey Richards and Kevin Blackwood are on the card with Guerreri, Kevin Koo, and Tom Lawler.
Anthony Green versus Alex Zane has a lot of potential.
This might be their best card that they've put out there. Jake Something versus PCO is the Haas match that I want from them. Taurus versus Blake Christian's kind of weird. Hopefully that's just a Taurus match where he throws them around. Charlie Haas versus Effie could be rough.
I expect it will be rough. Not as rough as Big Beef versus Levi Everett, but then Shazza McKenzie and Billy Starks is what I'm really looking forward to. So
I think that's going to be a showcase match for both women to really go out there.
And it will be a great test for new heel Billy Starks.
For sure.
I mean, Shazza's an easy one to cheer, so it's going to be easier for her to get boos, but we'll see if the movements match the boos. So
let's get to bangers only from Mission Pro Wrestling. What stood out to you?
Let's see. Thunder Rosa and Trish Adora is going to be an interesting one. Maria Kanellis was saying Trish Adora was going to be the next Ring of Honor Women's Champion before they blew up the promotions. So that's interesting. I wish I could get just Kylan King against Maddie Rinkowski without the other two, but it is what it is. Tasha Steeles and Janae Kai, I think, could be the match of the night. And then you've got Holodead versus Lufisto for the championship. So see what the rest of the show. There's some other names on there that are Lindsay Snow and Masa Slamovich. I almost missed that one. That will be one of Lindsay's first matches I've seen since she got hurt. And her and Masha should be excellent.
Let's get to New Texas Pro running Cowboys from Hell. Chris Bay versus ASF. I did like Fly Def. So getting to see them go up against Kevin Koo and Guerini will be really good. I think that might be the match of the show now that I'm looking at it.
I think so, looking at that card.
I think Fly Def is going to catch some people's attention, especially if they're not watching any of the Texas Indies. But that main event, Brian Keith defending the New Texas Pro Championship against Josh Alexander, is can't miss. If I had to bank on something, I would say the tag match with Guerini and Koo and Fly Def, and then Brian Keith versus Josh Alexander's. That's
agreed.
It. And then we made it.
Final
show that we're looking forward to. You want to break it down for us?
All right, WrestleCon USA versus the World in what could be a polarizing opener. Caleb with a K, Flip Gordon, and Gringo Loco against Aeroboy, Aramis, and Arez. So that could be very rough. Big Damo and Calvin Tankman.
Let's go,
Big Tank. Then one of the ones I had circled, Bandito and Ray Horace against the Workhorsemen. Really looking forward to that one. I'm not really, feels weird to say that there's a woman I'm not familiar with, but I'm not familiar with Jessica Troy. So we'll see who she is and what she brings to Rachel Ellering.
But next match could be match of the weekend.
And Mike Bailey. If I didn't have Mike Bailey and Bandito already circled as my match of the weekend, this might be the other one.
These are like our two indie MVPs of 2022 so far.
Mike Bailey, kudos to you.
Them facing off.
Yeah,
dude, I'm so psyched for this. And I'm so glad we're getting this match too. Because there is a world where neither guy participates during this weekend.
Absolutely there is. Warrior Wrestling Lucha title, Sam Madonna defending against 3 luchadors. That is what it is.
No comment.
Then we got the Rev Pro Undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship match. Michael Oku against Rich Swann.
Let's go. Zero chance Rich Swann wins.
Zero chance.
Although him over in Britain would be awesome.
Will
I
not
would love the
happen right
blocks
now.
there.
Su Young is pregnant, so he's not going anywhere. This
I
might be
didn't know
his
that.
last real indie weekend for a while because he's going to have to be a dad for a bit soon.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. Again, I'm glad Michael Oku is working this weekend.
Yeah.
I think that people are going to be really impressed by him.
Absolutely.
Interesting that Osprey's not here that weekend.
I mean, New Japan Cup just finished. Maybe there's some reasons that they want him in Japan right now for story stuff. So it's what it is. Anyways, that's the weekend. There's a hell of a lot to watch.
Now let's get to the part that we did not rehearse. We have very loose rules for. This could be really fun for us. It could be rough to listen to. Who knows? Go on this ride with us, please. We are going to do a Ring of Honor fantasy draft. So the rules here, anyone not signed to WWE, Impact, and AEW proper are eligible to be drafted. Let's see. So that leaves smaller promotions, like we've said. MLW contracts are basically, what would you say, written on toilet paper?
They're basically toilet paper. There
I like
are
that a lot.
kind of 3 that I know are relatively exclusive that I had to kind of knock out, being Fatu, Hammerstone, and Holiday. There were strong rumors AEW went hard after Hammerstone and Holiday, and they got locked down. And I know Fatu is exclusive for at least a couple more years. Otherwise, all 3 of those may have popped up in this draft, but everyone else, fair game.
The rules on this, well, not really rules, but those were the rules. So the format that we're going to be doing here is we're going to go back and forth, and we're going to start by each drafting 8 men in the traditional way of like, these are the guys that we want to have do an 8-man tournament. I love those days of Ring of Honor. I hope Tony does that in some form, maybe just like once a taping. That would be a blast. So we're going to do that. So that's going to be 16 people on the roster immediately. After that, we're going to take turns drafting women and tag teams. So what that's going to look like is, say I start and I get to pick whether I want to draft a woman or a tag team. Then that would go to Mitch to do either one. And then Mitch would draft the other, I would draft the other, and we would go back and forth until we have 8 women drafted and 8 tag teams drafted. As far as tag teams, they do or do not have to be established. The only people that we can write down for sure right now are Gresham, Woods, and the Briscoes. All right. You want to go first?
Oh boy. Let's see. This is a tough one to go with. I mean, I will not go with what could have been an easy first pick in Davey Richards, only because I know he went to do MLW stuff simply because he did not want to commit to full-time wrestling. And these are people that feel like they are going to need to.
Hey,
however,
this is our dream roster.
But that said, I think I'm going to open it up with what may be a bit of an interesting one to take very first, but I am going straight for Blake Christian. I think Blake is someone you can build this entire company around for the next 3 or 4 years until he's ready to be on AEW TV. So I'm taking Blake as my number 1 draft pick.
I'm just going to swing for the fences. I'm starting off with Samoa Joe. I think that he's going to be the major surprise to show up at the end of ROH. As awesome as it would be to have him on AEW proper, not saying it can't happen, but I think having a legacy person come back and just like kick things off and immediately go into a program with whoever leaves as champion, whether it's Gresham or Bandito, I think that would be killer.
And on that note, my number 2 pick is my pick for the surprise at the end of the show. And I am taking, I don't know what he's going to go by, whether it's going to be Claudio or some play on the word Cesaro, but I am going to take Claudio Castagnoli as my 2nd pick.
You know what? I see your Claudio, and I go with an even bigger return to the world of professional wrestling. Chris Hero goes back to ROH. I would have loved to see him do something similar to what Regal's doing in AEW proper now, but like actually wrestle.
Yeah.
It might be a little too on the nose if he forms like a wrestling faction. But that was my hope. But that said, I would love for Chris Hero to come back. Actually, before we go any farther, who's our commentary team?
So Coleman is out. He is going somewhere else to start wrestling again. So Caprice Coleman's off the table because he was part of that team.
I'm fine with that.
I think Ian Riccaboni, or however the heck you say his last name, I hear it a million times.
Yeah.
I think he'll probably get picked up. And I would love to see Veda Scott be the other person on that commentary team.
See, I went Riccaboni, Colt Cabana.
Ooh,
because they had awesome chemistry.
They did. They've done some great commentary together. Tony does love his 3-man booths, though, so there's no world that we can't be right. I prefer 2-men.
We'll write Veda down too. I'm the same way.
Loves his 3-ways, so
Ian Riccaboni, Colt Cabana, and Veda. That's not bad.
No,
if Mike Bailey could get out of that Impact contract, now we're talking. Okay,
anyway,
so
number 3. What's my name? Something. I am taking Jake Something. He is out of his Impact contract, and I am plopping him straight to the moon in this company.
Couldn't let me have that one, huh?
No, I gave you the chance. You took Joe and Hero. That's on you. I gave you 2 picks to take Something. I gave you till round 3. He could have been my number 1 overall.
There's some really good names.
There are some really good names.
I'm going to go with someone who I think ROH is the perfect spot for. And he may or may not be walking out Ring of Honor champion. So let's put Bandito on the board.
I wondered if he was going to pop up.
Bandito, Claudio. Bandito, Joe. Bandito, Hero.
There are a lot of matches.
Bandito, Christian. Yes.
All right.
So who's your 4th man?
My number 4 is someone we have only mentioned a little bit on this show, but someone who needs a contract. I am taking Fred Yehai.
Oh, dude, I wanted to put him in a tag team.
Oh, I'm curious who he would have been partnered with, but
okay. I'm going to go with someone who is currently holding a championship. That might get a little messy.
Okay.
But screw it. No rules. Myron Reed.
Ooh.
Welcome to Ring of Honor.
Myron Reed. That is someone I would love to see end up here.
That gets rid of the possibility of the Rascals being here again. That didn't fit our rules, given his second half is in Impact.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're halfway done with the men's roster.
Okay, there's one that I'm not going to pick at all, and I'm going to explain why at the very end, because it seems like someone I should be picking for this, but I'm just going to throw that out there now that I'm coming back to that. But for the next pick, I think, and I have wrestled a little bit on this, you know what, I'll leave that one for later. I'm going to take the Sauce God Alex Zane. Just going to lock him in now while I can. I think my other's still going to be there later.
And I think Alex Zane is basically a lock to be proper.
I almost didn't want to draft him because I feel like he's a given at this point, knowing that he's on Supercard and was announced for it and didn't get axed like Killer Cross did.
Or the fact that like he's healthy too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going big name. I got to do it. It's the other free agent. From everything that I've heard, Tony Khan's not necessarily high on bringing him into the main event. I'm going to start writing
because I know exactly who this is.
And I think it's an awesome veteran to end up building Ring of Honor around, considering he hasn't really been a name in Ring of Honor before. Johnny Gargano, come on down.
Johnny Wrestling. All right. Fits right there. No more Johnny Takeover. He's now Johnny Supercard.
I'm going big free agents. I'm leaving my prospects on the board.
You are, and I'm fine with that because I'm dabbling up the prospects right now, and I'm okay with that. And on the note of stealing prospects, I think I just made a little slip there that gave it away. I am taking Jack Cartwheel.
Another guy I wanted in a tag team.
Oh, see, I feel like I have my tag teams picked for the most part, and they're not ones that I see going in the singles. So I may come up with I have one fun one that I'll put together if they're still there, but
damn.
I don't know if they're going to be.
Okay. Next guy. This one is a gamble.
Okay.
Because I don't know if he would sign the contract.
Yep.
Huge fan. I've met him multiple times. Super sweet dude. I'm down. I will literally watch any indie show that he is on. ACH.
Yep.
Please come to Ring of Honor.
I got 2 picks left on the men's side. That is not A lot. Okay. You know what? I'm going to need some help here because I cannot remember what name he's gone back to. I want the artist formerly known as Grand Metalik. Mascadorada, is that it?
I'm not sure what the
I
pronunciation
can't remember
is.
what he goes by now, but I want him. Did I steal another tag team guy of yours?
Nope. I didn't have him on the board, to be honest.
I think.
Oh, actually, I did. I had him with Ray Horace.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you're like, I was banking on having some sick tag teams.
I got tag teams still, and I think you're going to first pick one that I would have picked too, but that's what it is. All right, okay. Pick 7 to you.
I'm going with a dude who is badass. He is a technician. He is a striker. He is anything you need. He is a weird Twitter presence, and I am here for Biff Busick in the Ring of Honor.
He was in my tag team.
Yeah, how's it feel?
Not good, because I don't want to draft the other guy as my 8th pick. Oh, that one stung.
Out of curiosity, who was it?
Timothy Thatcher.
Oh, you can keep Thatcher. Get out of here.
Thatcher and Busick would have been a fun tag team.
You could put Thatcher with a broomstick for all I care.
I like Thatcher. But he is not my 8th pick. My 8th pick.
Oh, actually, I do have a good Thatcher team, and I think I'm going to save it.
All right. Well, my 8th pick is not Timothy Thatcher. My 8th pick is here in all caps, and he's here to rule ass. Warhorse is coming to Ring of Honor.
Okay.
Well, one of us went more prospect heavy. The other has gone far more established talent heavy.
I'll say this. I was really skeptical of Ring of Honor signing Danhausen. I was like, I don't know what that's going to look like. It worked.
It worked.
It absolutely worked. That said, I want serious Warhorse.
Absolutely. This is a great place to do it.
Right. And I don't know if he can pull off the Orange Cassidy thing where there's still some comedy.
I don't
he
think
just
so.
Goes off his wrestling. I don't either. Okay. My final pick. Dang. Actually, I don't have a tag team for him at all. So I might as well just pick him. Effie.
Fair. Yeah.
I think Effie is someone, I am shocked he's not an AEW.
Yeah.
From what I heard from people that I trust, Tony Khan was high on Effie. I don't know if something had changed or if he's just waiting for the right time, but I think Effie is someone who would be perfect for this iteration. And honestly, I want to see him off of the indies right now.
Yeah.
I want to see him go to his next step. And I think it's time for that. And yeah. All right. So break down your 8-man tournament. How confident are you that tournament would be a banger?
I love my tournament. I think I have Claudio against Christian in the finals. I think Claudio gets a win over Something because Something is eventually going to be ROH champion, but I don't think he needs to win the tournament right now. I think I have Claudio and Christian in the finals. I think Warhorse showcases a serious side of himself, even though he doesn't make it out of the first round. And I think Jack Cartwheel turns some heads and lets people know he's a real deal.
I'm really bummed you got Cartwheel.
I am not.
He would have been a perfect tag team with Nick Wayne. Just saying.
Oh, that would have. But we can't use Nick Wayne because Nick Wayne has a contract.
But is he on the roster page?
He's not on the roster page. But we have a confirmed contract.
But he is not. Okay. We talked off air. You said anyone who is a regular.
Fair. I did say not on the
roster page.
That would.
So now we just have to find a tag team partner for him. Okay. For mine, I have so many big names. I don't know who would lose. Mine is basically a section of Bola whenever you look at it.
Yeah.
That said, in my finals, I would do Joe and Biff Busick. Or no, Joe and ACH. Joe and ACH for sure. Anyway, let's see.
I went first on that one, so I guess you get first crack at where you want to start on this.
So, who is the ROH Women's Champion now? Was it Roxy?
Yes, it was Roxy. So the title is currently vacant because unfortunately she has signed with WWE.
So now does that mean that we count the Briscoes as one of the 8 tag teams?
No, I don't think so. We
So
didn't
we're gonna have
count
9.
we didn't
tag
count
teams.
Gresham in this, so
I'm gonna give you a freebie. Someone will be handed the ROH Women's Championship. Who's it going to be?
okay. You know what? Let's just go with the other person who was in the finals with Roxy, because that seems to make the most sense. And let's put Miranda Alize as the handed championship, because she was the one that Roxy beat in the finals.
Okay, so we're gonna
So
have
that
Miranda
would make a lot of sense
as the champion and the Briscoes as the champions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will start off with the tag team.
Okay.
And I'm going to do Davey Richards and Matt Fitchett.
I had a feeling Fitchett was going to show up in your list somewhere. That is a good person to pair him with for sure.
And that way, whenever, just thinking, whenever Davey's like, I can't make that date, we still have Fitchett to work solo.
All right. Well, being the big women's wrestling aficionado, there are 3,000 I could pick. I have a couple that I've starred that I'm not going to draft and address later why I didn't draft them here. But I think, this is tough. I'm glad I don't have to use Alize as my first pick, because she would have been without hesitation. But I think I am going to take... Yeah, I'm going to do Shazza McKenzie as my first pick. I think she could go straight to AEW, but I think it would be good for her to be able to spend some time living in the States full time and getting used to that first, do 1 or 2 years of ROH, and then go to AEW. She's ready to be there right now, but get a couple of years to get the lifestyle established for living in America full time, round out the character a bit to figure out who you want to be, and then move up to the big time. So I'm taking Shazza.
So that means it's my turn to take a woman.
Correct.
You remember what I said about Effie?
Mm-hmm.
I feel even stronger about that for Alley Catch.
Mm-hmm.
I am ready for her to do something else.
Yep. She was 1B for me. It was her or Shazza I was debating between.
This is the person that I would build around. And honestly, I think it's time. Whenever she was Alley Cat, I couldn't stand her.
Nope.
She would have been on my short list of people that I would never have watched. But since she started taking wrestling aspect more seriously, she's been really good. She's gotten better and better. Still not I want her.
I think ROH is the place for her right now. And
it's better than her being on the AEW
dark circuit
undercard.
Exactly. Okay, my first tag team. I don't think this is going to come as a huge surprise. I am taking Violence is Forever, Dominic Greeny, and Kevin Koo.
That is not who I thought you were going to say.
No? I'm curious. Tell me later who you thought I was going to pick. Because, I mean, there's so many names out there.
The Workhorsemen.
Is that who you thought I was going to say?
Yep.
The only reason I didn't take them was because I knew you were going to take them, and I knew then either way they ended up in our draft, and I wasn't sure you'd take Violence is Forever, so I wanted to make sure they both got on our list. Because the Workhorsemen were definitely on my high list too.
I'm going to give you one. This tag team is going to be Walk and Brawl badasses. The foils to the Briscoes in the division. It's going to be a spot. One guy, super established, ROH legend. The other guy, an up-and-comer, most people aren't familiar with unless you watch the Texas scene. Homicide and Brian Keith.
Huh.
What do you think of the pairing? Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. It's an interesting one for sure. I think the only question mark with it is how long is Homicide going to keep going? And we don't know. I don't even think he knows.
By that time, Brian Keith will be a singles guy.
Yeah. But I like the pairing. I have no idea what to expect from Homicide for the long term there. All right. I guess that puts me on the women's side, correct?
Yep.
All righty. Oh, this is tough. I have more than 4 that I want to pick, but I only get 4. So we're going to go with that. I'm going to go with Janae Kai. I think she is super underrated. I think Ring of Honor is a good place for her style of wrestling to show up in, and I think she could make a good name for herself there.
Okay. I am going to go with a woman who a couple months ago didn't know anything about. She has quickly won me over, and I think she's probably the biggest free agent right now that I would build around. Masha Slamovich.
She is not a free agent. She is signed to Impact Wrestling.
No!
She would have been my number one pick. Try again. Yeah, she is brought into Impact. I think she's the one taking the title off Tasha eventually. So
I don't know. Is Taya Valkyrie a free agent?
She is, yes.
Her, why not?
Free agent.
Taya. Let's go Taya.
Taya Valkyrie is still a free agent.
I am really bummed about that.
Yeah,
I really wanted Slamovich.
I want Slamovich in so many places right now. I want to see her wrestle everywhere.
Hey, whoa. Hey, it's not that kind of show.
Talking about the bus. Speed. It's fine. Never letting that one go. Thank you, Danhausen.
All right, okay. It's your tag team.
Back to the tag team for me.
Dude, this is fun. I love this.
Full disclosure, I have forgotten their tag team names, so I'm giving them the singles names, even though they are a well-established tag team on the indies. I just cannot remember for the life of me what they go by. I am going with Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs. They've done a lot of New Japan Strong stuff. They've been on Dark a few times. West Coast guys primarily, but I cannot remember what their name is.
They're part of Team Lawler.
Yeah, they are part of Team Lawler.
West Coast Wrecking Crew.
Thank you. Yes. That was going to eat me alive. But yes, they are my number 2 pick. I almost picked them over Greeny and Koo, and I think I might even like them better than those two. Why I didn't pick them first, I don't know.
I didn't even think about New Japan Strong roster if those guys were available.
I mean, I don't know if we know much about the contract status for any of them.
Sure. Like, I'll text Rocky and see what he says.
Yeah, it sounds good.
My turn for a tag team. Let's get weird.
Okay.
This team is going to be the fan favorite of the division.
Okay.
One guy is the best talker available. The other dude started off as an irony guy, and people are big fans of. And like I said earlier, I'm not there with him yet, but I will be. I'm going to pair Gringo Loco and Mance Warner together.
Oh, I'm just happy to see old Mancer show up.
You cannot tell me that would not be a super fun team.
Oh, that would be a hell of a fun team. I am here for that team.
We are running out of spots, and I've got so many cool tag teams I want to do.
I know. All right. Well, I already know my last 2 women, and unless you take them, but I don't think you will. My next woman, she was part of the Nightmare family, did not get a contract out of her Dark thing, and I think it's a huge crime. Kylan King.
She's not signed to AEW proper?
She is not signed to AEW proper in what I think is a very bad decision on their part. I can't believe it, but she is not signed.
I don't want, you know what? Let's keep the trend going. I'm going to take a big name and put Athena in Ring of Honor.
Okay, all right. It's hesitant to do her because I think she might be the surprise on Wednesday, but she is not as of now, so she's available. All right, I am back to tag team land.
No, you do a.
No, I just did a woman. I did Kylan King. Yeah. I'm on.
You're right.
I'm on tag team. Okay, I got to make sure I'm not missing anything here.
Or you could just call them whatever you want. Fresh coat of paint.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just trying to. You know what? I better take them just to make sure they get there. The workhorsemen are for sure. Like, I need them in this company.
And that gives you time to look up.
Yeah, because I know one person I want in my tag team for sure is just who I want as the second one. I think I have my mind made up, and it's a little weird, but I'm not certain.
Anthony Hendry and JD Drake off the table. So does that mean I'm on a tag team now?
You are on your final tag team.
There's 2 that I really want to do. Oh, dang. Can I add one person to make it a trio?
Pitch it. Sell me on it.
So Davey Richards might not be long, right? And Fitchett would be his junior, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like Tony Deppen to learn from the tutelage of Davey Richards.
Okay. So you want to move Deppen up to Fitchett and Richards.
Yes.
Like, include him in there. I'm good with that. I don't know that there's a better spot for Deppen. And Richards turned down an AEW deal by all accounts because he didn't want to go full time. So this is one of those, he may not even sign the dotted line. So
I wanted to find a place for him because I think Deppen is a guy that needs to be there.
Yeah.
I will also pitch you. I'm not going to go with it, but this is a tag team that sounds dope on paper. Calvin Tankman and AR Fox.
Ooh, that does sound good on paper.
Instead, actually, what about TJP and Tony Deppen as just like a cocky prick tag team? Oh, dude.
That is a dope team. Yeah.
Think about it.
TJP is a weird one where, I think
could have been.
I think he's still in Impact too. He's everywhere right now, and I can't keep track.
And we haven't taken Ray Horace.
No, we haven't. And I don't think I am.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't necessarily a full roster. It's, I'm picking 4 teams here.
So this tag team I'm going to draft, there's going to be a storyline to it. Nick Wayne needs a mentor. And so Tony Khan puts him with someone who has been a veteran for so long, someone who can show him the ropes and set him up for future success. And this will eventually turn into a mentor versus mentee, whatever, apprentice, Nick Wayne and Matt Cross.
Ooh, I like that. Matt Cross would be a great fit for Wayne.
I'm glad you like it.
And it kind of fair game. I mean, Wayne is signed. He's not on the roster page, so we found that loophole, but he also can't go on the roster page until he's 18. Correct. So this would make sense for an apprenticeship, even if it wasn't like a formal contract. This could just be where he's currently outsourced.
So the way that we're thinking about putting this roster together is that these people will also be able to work indies, but this is like their home promotion.
Yes. Yeah. Similar to the way Impact would structure theirs, or MLW theoretically does theirs.
So I'm comfortable doing that as a final.
No, I like that.
Actually, we might circle back and both of us pitch ideas for a final tag team, because that means we have 9 tag teams.
Yeah.
9 women. Let's just round it.
Yeah. All right. Well, my last woman, again, I'm leaving big names on the table, partially because I think some of them are AEW bound, partially because there are some young women on the scene I really want to get working full time. This would be a great environment for this one. Someone most people probably haven't even heard of. I am going with Maddie Rinkowski. She won me over on Dark big time, and I think she has just been nothing but upside right now.
So you've put me in a really hard spot of picking between Billy Starks and Rachel Ellering.
I know, and I wanted both of those too, but...
Do you just want to do both, and that's our women's division?
I think that makes sense, because that round is up to 10 again. Those were 2. I left both of those knowing you'd probably take one of them, and the press on Maddie is so low right now, and I think she's much better than she's getting credit for that sure. I couldn't leave her aside. But you've already got Chris Hero on the men's side, so
it makes sense.
It makes sense. And I picked a lot of young and up and comers. Not that Rachel Ellering isn't to some extent, but she's been around the business.
I literally had 2 other women written down, and that was Mia Yim and Vert Vixen.
Yeah.
So
I left Mia Yim on the table because I think she's AEW bound. I left Nixon Newell.
That's safe to say.
I left Nixon Newell on the table because I don't even know how healthy she is right now. Like Athena is one where I need to see a couple matches for her sake as well to see if she can still do it, because they're like, it's multiple ACL tears. You might just be screwed, and I'd feel awful for her. But
the one that I had in my head as a wild card was Maki Ito, because I don't know enough about Joshi, and people on the internet seem to like Maki Ito.
There's other Joshis, that could have been considered too. The 2 that I left on the table that are on AEW Dark that I didn't bring in were Marina Shafir and Diamante. I think both would actually be amazing fits for Ring of Honor and could carry the division, but I'd much rather see Diamante move up and work with Kingston and Proud and Powerful as kind of that new LAX thing. I think if they all kind of go in the same direction, she could be a good fit there where it would make sense. And I think she's TV ready. Marina, I almost think maybe she would be a better fit in ROH, but she has just impressed me so much. I want to at least give her a shot on TV again in AEW. Sure. So I left those two on the table because I think they should be up there. For the same reason I didn't take Wheeler Yuta, because even though he's not officially on the roster page, it feels like he is.
Right.
It feels like one where he is signed to that type of deal and they just are waiting for the graphic for whatever reason, because sometimes they're weird like that.
Yuta's not on the roster page?
He is not on the roster page, but they're pushing him so much. Again, this is the thing. It was the same as when we first saw Danny Garcia. It was pretty obvious what was happening, but they held off 3 more weeks on Garcia compared to 2.0 for the roster graphic, right? Like sometimes those rules are weird. Likewise, Shafir and Diamante are, by my count, the only 2 female dark stars.
Those would have been good ads too.
Who have shirts on shopaew.com, despite not being on the roster page, which is another big thing. Which does remind me that we left Sky Blue on the table, but again, she's traveling with Dante all the time. That she's another one of those ones. Like it just, I had to go with what made sense for ROH as well, not just. So those were a few names I left on the table, but it's because I feel like I already.
Well, and we also didn't do a favor where we basically stretched it out to make 10 women roster, and it's going to have,
it's going to have to be bigger than that. But like some of those ones, it feels like they're already on the main roster for AEW, even if they're not officially. And a couple like Shafir and Diamante, I think they should be. So,
all right. So you've got one last tag team. We both figure out a tag team.
I do have one last tag team. It is a weird one. This is coming out of left field. This is an odd combination, but I can see a scenario where this works very well. Sure. I am taking Kevin Blackwood, and the person I am pairing him up with is going to turn Kevin Blackwood into a mega heel. Atticus Kogar.
That is dope. Blackwood and Kogar's really good.
Like, Kogar
that's
is
really good.
Mega heel. Like that dude will make you want to stab him. Like he is MJF level heat at times. And then I can leave behind the rest of 44 Ohio without even thinking twice about it. So, I actually don't mind RSP. I don't think I'd pick him for much, but like I can tolerate him.
That's interesting because I wanted to take Blackwood earlier, but it was that thing of like he fits in a tag team better than Effie does.
Mm-hmm. So I forget who it was you took. You took somebody I originally had pinned for a tag team with Blackwood as well. Davey Richards. That was the other one I had picked with Blackwood.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
But Richards went very quick for you. So
listen, I didn't take him as a singles because I'm like, I already have enough big names on my singles roster. So here are some names that I have left over.
Okay.
I've got Ray Horace, AR Fox, TJP, Calvin Tankman. So that leaves me with the pitch of Horace, Fox, TJP, and Tankman. Is there anyone else that you were thinking of?
Let's see. I'd almost cut TJP off the list just because I feel like he's got to have a deal with one of these places he's with.
So that gives us Horace, Fox, and Tankman.
The only other one that really comes to mind immediately is somebody that I'd be curious about. And again, I don't know if he'd sign the contract because it sounds like there was a little bit of bad blood with TK, but Darius Lockhart's a name. Likewise, I suppose we could say AJ Gray as well, but I don't know if
I don't think AJ Gray would sign it right now.
That's the thing. Like it's same idea with Lockhart. I don't think he would.
I think both guys still have a ton left to do, primarily on the indies. Is there anyone you can think of to pair up with Ray Horace? Because the idea of Ray Horace and AR Fox as a tag team sounds really damn cool.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I can put over AR Fox in that slot. And
because as much as I liked AR Fox and Tankman, I think Tankman, he has a long road ahead of him.
Yes. Yeah, he did do some MLW for a bit, recently finished up there. I mean, I'm scrolling through our big weekend list here, and nobody's jumping out over AR Fox for me.
I was going to say, if you say Sam Adonis, we'll fight.
I am not saying Sam Adonis.
Psycho Clown. Psycho Clown and AR Fox. Let's go. So is that our final tag team?
I think so, yeah. I think that's the final tag team.
Doesn't that sound kind of cool?
It does sound like a cool pairing.
Like if they teamed up together. And I feel like we're missing something.
Oh, I mean, we're missing a million people. Like there's so much stuff we've left on the table, but it's impossible to think of everything at once.
All right. Ray Horace and AR Fox. Okay, so our women's roster is Athena. Miranda's our champion. Starks, Shaza, Ali, Kai, Taya, Kylan King, Rinkowski. Is that right? And Rachel Ellering. Our tag team division, led by the Briscoes as champs, is the Workhorsemen, Horace and Fox, Davey Richards, Fitchett and Deppen, Carini and Koo, Homicide and Brian Keith, West Coast Wrecking Crew, Gringo Loco and Mance Warner, Nick Wayne and Matt Cross, Blackwood and Kogar. Dude, that's a home run.
I am happy with that pick.
I was really proud of Gringo and Mance because I was like, this is a crazy,
that is a crazy fun team.
You hit a grand slam. That's perfect. On top, we've got Gresham and Josh Woods in our men's division. And in that men's division is Blake Christian, Claudio Castagnoli, Jake Something, Fred Yehai, Alex Zane, Mr. Cartwheel, Metalik, Warhorse, Effie, Biff Busick, ACH, Johnny Gargano, Myron Reed, Bandito, Chris Hero, and Samoa Joe. Dude, I think we booked the perfect ROH roster.
I mean, that's a loaded roster. There's still more you could add, but that's a stacked roster.
And we didn't even add Silas Young and Beer City Bruiser.
No, and I mean, I kind of feel like Silas is going to be a lock to come back if he wants to, but
I'm really interested, that said, to see, what Tony's Ring of Honor is going to look like.
There's two big questions that jump to my mind. One is, what are the contracts like? Are they similar to the agreed to appear stuff for AEW? Are they closer to full-time? Are they kind of structured like Impact contracts where the pay is fine, but it's not like you still have to do other stuff, at least for most of the Impact guys? And then the other question, are they going to go to a monthly taping format, or is it something where they're taping weekly so these guys can also do Dark Elevation matches and they try and stagger the touring? Like, there's a lot of questions here.
Oh, that would be dope.
That would be sweet. I don't know if it'd be possible, but
how cool would it be if Ring of Honor ran live? Because they're probably going to do taping. Imagine if they took a Tuesday or a Thursday. What's Impact on now?
Impact, I believe, is on Thursday. I mean,
let's give them Tuesday.
Yeah, that'd be actually perfect because they've already run NXT on a Wednesday, so it'd be kind of hilarious if they ran them on a Tuesday as well.
Oh, hell yeah! I didn't even think about that. Oh my god! Oh my god! Tony starts at NXT and runs it against NXT. Oh and my god! Johnny
Gargano would be a part of it,
and Johnny Gargano is your first champion. Oh my gosh. Oh, if this ever makes its way to TK, come on. Maybe he's one of the 4 listeners we have right now. Anyway, places to plug this weekend. Fight is going to be a big one to go to. I'm not quite sure what WrestleCon's going to be running on. If anything, it might be tape delay. I don't know if they're still doing it like that. I know IWTV is running some shows. It's going to be a mess. There's not an easy way to stream all of this in a reasonable way. So have fun. Like I said, prep some snacks, pace yourself. Don't feel like you have to watch everything. It should be a fun weekend. Yeah. So, besides Bailey and Jonah Rock, I think everything's going to be Mania weekend next week. So anything you want to add?
No, I was trying to look up quickly to see if I could track how we're going to get access to WrestleCon stuff. I don't have an answer yet, but yeah, the GCW collective thing is on Fight. I don't know the conversion down to American dollars, which are worth far more than my Canadian dollars, but it's about $200 Canadian for our weekend if we wanted.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But whatever that works out to an American is likely what that would cost to watch on Fight. That cover most of the shows, but yeah, big weekend. Both looking forward to it and dreading it at the same time, because I just don't know how I find time for life after. But
yeah, I'm gonna try to load this week, like weeknights up with date nights and any obligations I have. That way I can just be a basement dweller.
Yeah. Oh, but I guess the other one, Super Card of Honor is also on Fight TV. That is the way to watch that one. I totally blanked on that. But.
Which could possibly be the most intriguing show of the weekend, given I think it's fair for us to cover Ring of Honor moving forward, just because, you know, we've 2 shows in a row we've talked about it and we're fascinated with it. And we're not going to cover AEW proper. So
no, there's enough, as much as we like it, there's enough stuff out there doing that already. I don't think we really need to fill a void that doesn't exist. But.
Yep. So I think that's the show. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. Do all the YouTube stuff, like and subscribe, tell a friend. We're not
tell
really
5
getting
friends, you know.
Yeah. Tell them all.
Yeah. Tell them all.
It'll be great. Tell your mom.
Yeah. Dan Nelson will curse you if you don't. So I hear he's a big fan of this. We've given him lots of human monies to promote us. So
Mitch will curse you too. Until next time, I'm Jake.
I'm Mitch.
This is the Bingo Hall Boys podcast.